Hi, my name is Debra L. Welty. I am a certified teacher of decorative art at Jubilee Junction Art Studio. My website is qualityart.com. Today I'm going to show you how to load your brushes, talk about some basic care of them for the different mediums, and how you apply paint with the different types of brushes. In another video, I talked about how to choose a brush for oils or acrylics or fabric painting and what the differences are in some of the different types of brushes. I have oil paint on this side, and right now I put out Prussian blue. I just picked a color, and I'm using the red sable brush, and this is a flat brush. And something I want you to think about with no matter what type of brush you're using is generally, this isn't a hard and fast rule, but generally you will load your brush the same way you're going to paint with it. So I am going to go into the bottom edge of this puddle of paint here, and I am stroking it into my brush. I'm pressing it into the bristles because I don't want it to come up any more than halfway up my bristles. And I stroked it very thin and very gently. And when I go to paint with it, I'm going to do a pat and pull the same way that I loaded it. A gentle pat and pull. And you can see that there's a very thin amount of paint on here. When I paint in oils, I paint with a very thin amount of paint. And that way I don't make a mess, and it dries much faster, and it's much easier to control, and then I get a very soft velvety look. I also wanted to mention that I am using a gray tone palette. I highly recommend these. They will help you see the colors that you put out on your palette much more accurately, and if you're going to blend or mix some different colors together, you'll get a much truer show. Now then I come back and I use the filbert in my oils to blend, and I do a gentle soft pat and pull, and when I'm doing this I'm only moving the top layer of paint, and I wipe the extra paint. As you can see, there's very little here because I didn't put much down in the first place. But this is, I show it on people's hands, it's a very, very gentle stroke, and that's how I get my values to go from lighter to darker or darker to lighter. I don't generally move, I don't take the dark into the light or the light into the dark. I tickle them together where the colors meet. And that's how I use a flat brush in oils. Over here on the acrylic side, I have dragon fruit, DecoArt Americana dragon fruit. Here is my color of choice. And again, I'm not going to load my brush like this because then I have heavy paint hanging on here, and I'm not going to paint like this unless I want to paint like this. Generally, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to load both sides of my brush, and then I'm going to stroke this on in nice, gentle, even strokes to fill in an area. Because I want a nice, even coverage. This can be called blocking it in, base coating, this type of thing. Now with the acrylic paint, you need to rinse your brush often in water. And you can hear me doing that. Dry my brush with fabric paint. I like to moisten my brushes to bring my bristles back nice and tight together. When I paint in with fabric paint, the DecoArt So Soft fabric paint, and this happens to be ocean blue, is made to be applied heavy so that it saturates the weave of the fabric. So as you will notice, I pick up a lot of heavy paint with this, and I lay on a lot of heavy paint. And that's how I paint on fabric, and the reason I need to use a nylon brush. Now a lot of people like to use an angle brush when they're doing side loading in acrylics, which is what they do to shade and highlight many times. And you've got this sharp corner. I've wet the brush and I touched it on my paper towel just to have the moisture recede till the shine is gone, and then I will stick the corner of the brush, and I can easily see where my paint is, and then I will walk it out, because what I want to have happen is I want the more paint to be on the corner and less paint as I go across, and then when I come in to do my highlighting or shading, I have more paint on this side and less on that side, and that's what we use this for. In acrylics, we may want to use a mop to soften out some of these edges. In oils, we also use a mop to soften out heavier brush strokes and things like that. We also like to use, I like to use a deer foot, and you can see it's got an angle. So when I'm going to load it into paint, I actually load it in a pouncing manner because I'm going to paint with that, and I like to load into that tip, and then I can tap it on and I can get my fur, and I can direct my fur by having it on the tip and not on the entire brush. And I tap it on. I can also use a fan brush in the same manner. I can load the tip and I can tap it on. I can create trees and bushes this way. If I want to do something bigger, I can load the rest of the bristles and I can shove it off of my brush to create different types of techniques and textures. Let's see what other brush we have. We also have a filbert. In an acrylic brush, you want to moisten the brush first before you load it, and in oil brushes you want to paint dry to have better control. And so you'll get a different, do you see the rounded edge? With a flat brush, I can get a very crisp edge when I'm base coating. With the filbert, I'm going to get a rounded edge, but I get a very nice smooth application of paint because of the tapered bristles. And I can also use it to blend out some areas where I've already painted. Whenever you're using a liner brush or a round brush, you want to add liquid, either odorless thinner or water, and work into it until you have a nice inky consistency. And then you hold the brush straight up and down, and you write with just, try to get my hand out of the way, you write with just the tip. The harder you press, the fatter the line will be. And as long as you work at getting the right consistency, you'll have a lot of success in using your liner. So I hope that you have found this helpful today. Thank you for joining me. Bye.